You won't believe what happens when these animals get a little too curious, often with hilarious results. From sneaky monkeys to mischievous raccoons, we're about to dive into the world of funny animal encounters. Imagine being a zookeeper, and every day you get to work with a bunch of wild animals. Sounds exciting, right? But what happens when these animals start to get a little too curious? Well, let me tell you, it's not always a walk in the park. Take this monkey, for example, who decided to investigate a bird's nest. The poor thing had no idea what was about to hit it. As the monkey reached for the nest, the bird flew straight into its face, leaving behind a rather smelly present. The monkey, not knowing what to do, started swinging its arms wildly, trying to get the bird out of its face. It was like a scene from a comedy movie. The best part: the monkey had no idea why it was covered in bird poop. But monkeys aren't the only ones who love to get into trouble. Raccoons, for instance, are notorious for their mischievous behavior. They love to raid garbage cans, knocking over trash and making a mess everywhere. But one raccoon, in particular, took it to a whole new level. This little guy decided to raid a campsite, making off with the family's entire supply of marshmallows. The family was left standing there, staring at their empty marshmallow bag, with a rather bewildered expression on their faces. They couldn't believe that a raccoon had managed to steal their snacks. But the raccoon, on the other hand, was having the time of its life. It was like it had discovered a treasure trove of sweet treats. But what about animals that are a little more unusual? Take this octopus, for example, who loved to play with a bunch of beach balls. The octopus would pick up the balls in its tentacles and start juggling them, much to the amusement of the onlookers. But things took a turn for the worse when the octopus started to get a little too excited. It ended up releasing all the balls at once, causing a giant splash in the water. The people watching were left standing there, laughing and pointing at the octopus's antics. It was like they had stumbled upon a sea creature comedy show. But the octopus didn't seem to mind. It just swam off, looking pleased with itself, like it had just performed the most epic trick ever. As we continue our journey through the world of funny animal encounters, we'll meet a cast of characters that will leave you in stitches. From a chicken who thinks it's a dog to a dolphin who loves to surf, we'll explore the lighter side of the animal kingdom. And who knows, you might just learn something new along the way. Meet Marty the cat, who's definitely got a dog in him. This feline thinks he's a canine, and he's not afraid to bark up the right tree. Literally. His owners will often catch him barking at the mailman, chasing squirrels, and even trying to herd the family dogs. But Marty's not the only animal with a misfit identity crisis. There's also a group of ducks who've decided they're actually swans. These feathered fakes will strut around the pond, quacking loudly and flapping their wings to make themselves look as swan-like as possible. They even go so far as to steal sticks from the swans themselves, trying to prove their supposed superiority. And then there's the case of the chatty parrot who thinks he's a stand-up comedian. This bird will crack jokes and make silly impressions, all in the hopes of getting some attention and treats from his owners. But beware. This parrot's sense of humor is a bit of a mixed bag, with some jokes that are truly laugh-out-loud hilarious, while others are just plain embarrassing. But what's even more fascinating is the way some animals can learn human behaviors and mimic them with uncanny accuracy. Take, for example, the case of the octopus named Otto, who's learned how to open jars and even use a toothbrush. Yes, you read that right. This cephalopod is not only intelligent but also dexterous, making him a true octomessiah. And let's not forget about the animals who've learned how to use tools in the wild. There's the clever chimpanzees of West Africa, who've learned how to use sticks to extract termites from their mounds, and the clever sea otters of California, who use rocks to crack open shells and eat the tasty treats inside. These animals are not only funny, but also incredibly resourceful and intelligent. But what's even more remarkable is the way some animals can form unique friendships with other species. Take, for example, the case of the dog and the goose who became inseparable friends. This unlikely duo would spend their days exploring the countryside together, playing games, and even cuddling up in each other's company. Their friendship was so strong that it even inspired a children's book which tells the heartwarming tale of their adventures together. One of the most fascinating aspects of animal friendships is how they often defy our expectations, like the time a cat formed a bond with a raccoon. This curious cat, who lived in a cozy home with its human family, would often sneak out into the backyard to visit its raccoon friend. The raccoon, who was notorious for raiding garbage cans, would leave out treats for the cat, and in return, the cat would share its favorite toys. Their friendship was so strong that it even helped the cat become more confident in its surroundings. Another intriguing example of animal friendship is the relationship between a horse and a cow. In a farm setting, these two large animals would often graze together. But what's remarkable is that they would also share a special form of communication. The horse and the cow would use a series of low grunts and whinnies to convey their emotions and needs to each other. This complex language system allowed them to coordinate their actions and even warn each other of potential dangers. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the animal kingdom's most unlikely friends? Birds and dogs. Well, it turns out that these two species have been known to form strong bonds in various parts of the world. In one fascinating case, a dog and a parrot became inseparable companions. The dog would often sit patiently by the parrot's cage, waiting for it to be let out, and the parrot would reward the dog with treats and affection. Their friendship was so strong that it even inspired a series of training videos, which showed how the dog could learn to recognize and respond to the parrot's commands. While animal friendships can be heartwarming and entertaining to watch, they also serve as a reminder of the importance of understanding and respecting the natural world. By observing and learning from the complex social dynamics of animals, we can gain valuable insights into the workings of their minds and the ways in which they interact with each other. This knowledge can, in turn, help us to better care for and protect these incredible creatures and the ecosystems they inhabit. As we explore the wonderful world of animal friendships, it's also worth noting that these relationships can have a profound impact on our own lives. By observing the ways in which animals form and maintain relationships, we can learn valuable lessons about loyalty, trust, and companionship. We can also gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate web of life that surrounds us, and the many ways in which we are connected to the natural world. But let's get back to the funny side of animal friendships, because trust me, it's a wild ride. Take the case of Owen the hippopotamus and Nzi the tortoise. This unlikely duo met in a Kenyan wildlife sanctuary after Owen was orphaned in the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. Now, most people might think it's a recipe for disaster, having the hyperactive hippo hanging out with a slow-moving tortoise. But these two became the best of friends, with Owen even learning to calm down from his usual aggressive behavior around Nzi. The tortoise's gentle nature had a soothing effect on the hippo, and they'd spend hours swimming and playing together. Their friendship was so strong that even when Owen grew up and moved to a different enclosure, he would still visit Nzi every day, often waiting patiently outside the tortoise's enclosure until Nzi was ready to see him. It's a heartwarming example of how even the most unlikely of friends can form a deep bond. But animal friendships aren't just limited to mammals. Have you ever heard of the story of Alex the parrot and Irene Pepperberg? Alex was an African grey parrot who lived with Irene from 1977 until his passing in 2007. What's remarkable about their relationship is that Alex was able to learn and use over 100 words to communicate with Irene, including identifying objects, shapes, and even understanding concepts like zero and nothing. Their friendship was so special that Irene even went on to write a book about their experiences together and Alex's incredible cognitive abilities. What's even more fascinating is that Alex was able to form a strong bond with Irene, often showing affection, and even giving her kisses on the cheek. And finally, let's not forget about the animal friendships that are formed in the wild. Take the case of the African elephants, for example. These gentle giants are known to form close-knit family groups, led by a wise and experienced matriarch. Within these groups, the elephants show remarkable loyalty and compassion towards each other, often going to great lengths to care for injured or distressed family members. In fact, studies have shown that African elephants have a highly developed sense of empathy and cooperation, often working together to achieve common goals. They even have a complex communication system that includes vocalizations, body language, and even touch. It's a truly remarkable example of how animals can form deep and meaningful relationships with each other. So, there you have it, a collection of funny and heartwarming animal friendships that remind us of the importance of building strong relationships and being kind to one another. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and don't forget to check out our next video where we'll be exploring the fascinating world of animal intelligence.